Welcome one and all, I'm Alexis, aka the Sloth Reader, and I'm here today to do the greatest Showman book tag. I was tagged by Kevin over at the Irish Reader, whom I absolutely love, and you guys should all be following him. He actually created this tag after he went and saw the movie and absolutely loved it, and he tagged me in it, so I'm gonna do that today. I have not seen the movie yet, and I haven't even listened to the soundtrack yet because I wanted to see the movie first. I have no idea what any of this means, but I wanted to spread Kevin's tag around, and also I liked the questions a lot, so I figured I would just go ahead and do it. So question number one is the greatest show, and that is to pick a book that is the best book and give you all the feels, and I'm just going to go ahead and go with my favorite book of 2017. I'll link that video down below as well in case you're interested to know my other favorite books of the year, and that is The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue by Mackenzie Lee. I've talked many times about how this book to me was just perfect. It's everything I could have wanted in a book. I really enjoyed the characters and the romance and the diversity and the storyline, both the historical and fantastical. Plus I laughed out loud so many times while reading this, and there were so many times where I was frustrated with Monty, but I really loved Monty's character growth in this series, and there were so many times the relationship between Monty and Percy made me go, because it was gosh darn cute, so I have to go with Gentleman's Guide. The next question is A Million Dreams, and that is to pick a book that left you dreaming about it once you finished it, and I'm gonna go with Every Heart a Doorway by Showman. And I didn't necessarily have dreams about this book, but when I finished this book, I spent a lot of time trying to imagine what my own magical world would be. In this series, these kids go to these worlds that like perfectly embody them, kind of, and I spent a lot of time trying to think of like what my like fantasy world would be, so I like daydreamed a lot about this series when I read it, so I'm gonna go with this one. Question number three is Come Alive, and it is to pick a book where a character finally accepts themselves, and you guys knew without a doubt I was gonna go with Nico D'Angelo from the Heroes of Olympus series by Rick Riordan, specifically in The Blood of Olympus. Because like Nico's entire character like is largely about accepting who he is, like letting himself have friends and like letting himself be open to other people, like both loving and potentially hurting him, and like I would do anything for Nico D'Angelo, low-key. It's not even low-key, honestly. I say it in like every video where I talk about Nico D'Angelo because he's my underworld son and I love him. The next question is the other side, and that is to pick a book or a character that changed your opinion of them. And I'm actually gonna go with like an author, kind of. And I'm gonna talk about A Crown of Wishes by Roshani Chokshi. This is the companion to The Star-Touched Queen, and I didn't like The Star-Touched Queen. I only gave it about 2 stars. I thought it was really weak in a lot of areas, and I also just didn't enjoy it. But I actually really liked A Crown of Wishes. I gave this one like a 4.5 stars. I liked it significantly better than I liked The Star-Touched Queen. I was much more invested in the story and the characters. So like A Crown of Wishes kind of changed my opinion on the series, but also like on Roshani Chokshi as an author. So I'm gonna go with that one. The next question is Never Enough, and that is to name a book or an author that you can just not get enough of. And like, who's gonna honestly be surprised when I say Victoria Schwab? I mean, like, I love the Shades of Magic trilogy. I'm very open and vocal about that I love this series so much. And like, she's writing 3 more books in it, and I'm beyond ecstatic. But also like, in the future, I'm gonna read everything Victoria Schwab writes. So, like, let's be real here. No one is surprised. The next question is This Is Me, and it is to name a book that you love despite everyone else hating it. And I wouldn't necessarily say I love this book necessarily. I mean, I gave it 4 stars, but I like it. It seems significantly more than most people did. And that is Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is the 3rd and final book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And I read this one in January, so you'll hear me talk a little bit more about it in my wrap-up. But I actually ended up liking this book, and a lot of people did not like it. Most of my friends on Goodreads rated this book either 2 or 3 stars. Many of them did not like it, but I liked it significantly more, it seems, than they did. So, again, I'll talk more about that in my wrap-up, but I'm gonna go with this one. The next question is Rewrite the Stars, and that is to name a bookish OTP that overcame a lot to be together. And I'm gonna go with Blue and Gansey from The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I'm a huge fan of both of the major couples in this relationship, but I do think that there are certain struggles in the relationship between Blue and Gansey that ultimately keeps them apart. So, I'm gonna go with Blue and Gansey from The Raven Cycle. The next question is Tightrope, and that is to name an author or book series that gave you trust issues, and I'm gonna go with an author, and that is Adam Silvera. And at this point, I know what I'm getting into when I read an Adam Silvera book, because like what ends up happening is there's a part in his books where everything is good, and it feels good to read, and you're happy for the characters. And then you turn the page and suddenly it's all gone to hell. Thanks, Adam Silvera. Thanks. No, real talk, I've cried in every single one of his books. Especially History Is All You Left Me, which isn't even my favorite of his books, but no kidding, I think I cried for at least 50% of this book. So, like, Adam Silvera, guys. The next question is From Now On, and that is a book that you have forever and you've been ignoring it and you finally need to get to. I feel like most of the books on my top books to read video fall under this category, and I'll link that video down below in case you're interested. But I went with another book that I've always like wanted to pick up, but for some reason I'm just not picking it up, and that is Truth Witch by Susan Dunnard. This has always sounded really cool to me, and I know that this features like a really strong female friendship, which is like right up my alley in books, and so like this has always sounded so interesting to me, and I just like, whenever I'm in the mood to pick up a new fantasy, it's never this one. This is never the one where I'm like, I'm gonna read Truth Witch. So I would really, really like to read Truth Witch, especially because the third book in this series is coming out sometime this year, so I'd really like to read this. Alrighty guys, that is the Greatest Showman book tag. Like I said, it was created by my friend Kevin over at The Irish Reader. I really, really highly recommend you guys checking him out because he's fantastic and he does a lot of these quirky videos. He recently did one about if Harry Potter characters had Tinder. And it's funny. Like, I highly recommend you guys checking it out. I would absolutely love to know what is a book that you guys liked that everyone else seems to hate. If you like what I do, I upload videos on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I'll see you guys soon with another video.